One of the first places you'll explore when you get to the beach is the high tide zone. You'll find lots of barnacles here, but you'll also find a lot of other cool stuff, like mussels. These animals attach to rocks right next to the barnacles, and if you look really closely, you can see a whole lot of little threads holding the mussels to the rocks. These are called byssal threads, and the mussels throw out these threads to attach to the rocks, just like Spider-Man throws out his web to climb buildings or catch bad guys. Another thing you'll probably see are a lot of shore crabs. These little crabs hide under rocks and seaweed and have a really funny way of moving. They move sideways. Morgan and Dylan will demonstrate, and we want you to follow along if you can.
Sideways crab walks.
These little crabs are easy to find, and like all the animals you'll meet, you'll want to handle them really carefully so you don't hurt or crush them. First, you want to make sure your hands are wet. Next, you want to hold the animals close to the ground so they don't get hurt if they fall. Finally, crabs have strong, sharp claws, so we want to make extra sure that we only pick up the little ones so we don't get our fingers pinched. So how can we tell if a crab is too big for us to pick it up? I want everyone to hold their hand up like this. Now we all have the perfect tool to measure a crab. If a crab is small enough to fit through your crab measuring tool, then it's safe for you to pick it up. Does this one fit? You definitely don't want to touch one of these crabs, but sometimes you'll find a crab that isn't moving, and it looks like it might be dead. And if the shell opens up easily, and you find this, lucky you. You can definitely pick this one up. It's an empty crab shell that was shed by a living crab that grew too big to fit into its shell. Unlike you and me, whose skeletons grow on the inside of our bodies, crabs have their skeletons on the outside of their bodies. That means that as their bodies grow, they need to get a new, bigger shell. Kind of like when you outgrow a t-shirt. You need to go shopping for a new, bigger one, right? But crabs don't go shopping, so they need to make a new one themselves. No problem. They just grow a new shell inside the old one, then crawl right out. And what they leave behind is called a crab molt. Crabs love seaweed. They love to hide in it, and for some, it's one of their favorite foods. And there's a lot of seaweed on our beaches. It comes in all different colors. Green, brown, red, lots of different shapes and sizes. This is one of our favorites. It feels really bumpy and rough, just like the towels you have at home. That's why it's called Turkish towel. So it turns out that crabs aren't the only ones that like to eat seaweed. Guess who else likes to eat it? You and me. Some of these foods are obvious, like sushi. But some might surprise you, like cottage cheese, toothpaste, or even ice cream. Wait a minute. Ice cream? Seaweed never tasted so delicious.